For how long were you associated with Doordarshan?
I was associated with Doordarshan for 7 years, from 1972 to 1979, in which I did much more than children's programming. I did specialized documentaries,
Yeah.
2 of which won international awards, Mother Teresa and Ravi Shankar.
Yeah.
I also used to do youth programs in which I launched some of the most memorable names, like Kavita Krishnamurthy and people like that.
Yeah.
Big names. In my children's program, very, very big names were involved, who at that time were small names, like Ronnie Screwvala.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
So they were all puppeteers.
Yeah.
So I had, and of course, in my big programs, like I did series on dance, I took some of the greatest dancers of India, the Jhaveri sisters, who are the best known in Manipuri. I took them to Manipur and made programs. I made a Bharatanatyam with Birju Maharaj in Kathak. You know, so I have done a number of cultural shows, youth shows, documentaries, and
This is a very
magic
prolific
lab.
career,
Yes,
right? Even in those
it was a very, very widespread thing, and I was very fortunate in getting total liberty to do what I did.
Yes, and I guess that's what happened in the case of Magic, especially in the case of Magic Lamp, right?
In the case of Magic Lamp, when I came from Delhi to Bombay, the then director V.S. Shastri, who is the brother of Lakshmi Shankar, the very famous singer. And that's how I had access to Ravi Shankar and all that.
Yeah.
He was a brilliant man. And I think he saw something in me. I had not come for children's programs. I had just taken the transfer to Bombay, to be in Bombay where the film world was, where I thought my future would be. But when he gave me children's program, he gave it to me as a challenge. He said, I want you to take this program Magic Lamp and turn it around and make it one of the star programs in our Bombay Doordarshan. The thing is, I had 6 months. He said, I am giving you a carte blanche. I'm quoting it. Now you make something out of it. And I spent about 6 to 8 months on that carte blanche, reviewing everything I knew about children's programs. For instance, I was very influenced by Sesame Street. Very influenced by the world that they had created. Although that world was not the world that we created for children here. Ours was for urban children, and Sesame Street, as you know, was with the lower income black people to teach them numbers and letters and education while their parents were away. That was not our objective. My objective was to create a children's world in India, in contemporary Bombay, in contemporary India, in an urban society. And of course I hoped it would go all over India, but it did go, but it traveled, it was not satellite linked. Therefore the show could not be seen at one time, and there were many reasons why many of the programs, like the Panna clubs, could not give out their projects all over the India. In spite of that, we had 3,500 clubs. Only in Bombay and Pune. And for children between 7 and 12. And to create leadership, teamwork, which I will discuss later. And then this is how I dreamt about this for 6-8 months. I dreamt about this character Alu and Kulu. Alu was the boy and Kulu was the girl. And Alu was typical of a child who could make mistakes and get away with it. You know, we always tell our children, you can't make mistakes. But I was very sure that Alu would be a child who could make mistakes because he was so imaginative. He was such a talented child, and therefore he would make mistakes, you know, and he was a scientist and an artist, which I always believe go in combination. And he lived in an apple-shaped house, which was designed by M.S. Satyu, the famous art director, and the girl who stayed with him was Kulu, and they were playmates. They stayed in the house together, and there were things that Kulu was a Virgo, so she was very particular about things, and Alu was a Pisces, so he was very imaginative.
But it's very interesting that, I mean, you're stressing so much on characterization and how important that is, you know, while scripting your show. So I can understand where those 6 months went, you know.
Oh, the 6 months were a dream. I used to dream about it.
And So, but then I've heard that when you came to Magic Lamp, it was, I mean, there was already an existing show, right,
Yes.
of the same name.
With the same name,
Yeah.
Magic Lamp.
Yeah.
We did not change the name.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why we didn't change the name, but I just didn't change the name
Yeah.
because within the thing of Magic Lamp,
Yeah.
we had several names like Halagulla Pathshala,
Yes.
which was the topsy-turvy school.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it was such fun. They began the song Halagulla Pathshala.
Yeah.
Halagulla.
Yeah.
We all love our Pathshala, Halagulla.
Yeah.
You know, we love to dance, we love to sing, we love to make many a thing.
Yeah.
Halagulla Pathshala, Halagulla.
Yeah.
We had Apple House,
Yeah.
where we would do the conceptual programs.
Hmm.
And what is conceptual learning? Sharing,
Share.
friendship.
Hmm.
We wanted to teach, these were the most difficult shows to do
Yes.
because they were abstract,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Then we had Nafisa's Corner Shop,
Yeah.
where they would go to buy things, eat things, do whatever they
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Then we had Dr. Ronnie who would attend
Yes.
to them.
Yes.
Then, of course, we had Monu the Menace, a very small thing
Yes.
of animation,
Hmm.
who taught them the road rules.
Ah.
What you do for road rules, what
Hmm.
should children be careful
Yeah.
about.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they had everything in
Yeah.
that program.
Yes.
Later on, we introduced them to the rural characters.
Yeah.
We had two small rural characters with a cow,
Yeah.
a moo cow,
Hmm.
and they would often visit
Yeah.
Alu Fulu
Hmm.
to tell them a little about the rural areas.
Yeah.
So we tried to integrate
Yeah.
slowly, very slowly,
Hmm.
these characters with the Magic Lamp urban characters.
Urban characters. Yeah.
The quiz that I want to tell you was one of the last things we introduced
Mm-hmm.
to bring parents to watching the children's show.
Yes.
So, and we always, the 3 stars would be the Anu, Fulu, somebody,
Yeah.
they would give different answers.
Yeah.
And either the parent was if it was a subject for the parents, the child would answer.
Yes.
A subject for the child, the parents would answer.
Yeah.
So all these things would show us how the children were really up.
Up.
So Alu, Fulu, and the
Yeah.
other characters, Sloppy,
Mm-hmm.
and the monster,
Yeah.
all the characters we created,
Yes. Yeah.
all of which had a reason,
Hmm.
a raison d'etre.
Hmm.
They had a reason to be there.
Hmm.
Sloppy was there because he had 8 arms and he rose from the sea
Hmm.
because there were so many letters and he could carry them.
Yeah.
And that was the idea. The monster was the fear in Alu, the
Yeah.
fear in a child.
Yeah.
So,
Of course. I mean, in the beginning it was just these two, and then you later on expanded.
Yeah, but
because
very
you,
quickly, very
you very
quickly.
quickly. Yeah.
They evolved very quickly because
Yeah.
we found
Yeah.
that need was there.
Yeah.
And there was a wonderful exchange between me and the children
Yeah.
because they would write plenty of letters to us,
Hmm.
invite our characters for birthday parties or
Hmm.
come to their birthday parties at 1 o'clock at night.
Hmm.
But you see, we used to study their letters
Yeah.
and see what they really wanted.
Yeah.
So although we began scripting with a wonderful script writer, Mrs. Vaswani, she was just brilliant, you know.
Mohini Vaswani.
Mohini Vaswani. So she was just brilliant and she
Mm.
could write songs and everything.
Hmm.
But everything was done by, you know, original.
Yeah.
Everything was original.
Yeah.
All the songs she scripted,
Yeah.
all the songs which were tuned
Yeah.
were done by a 16-year-old girl called Barbara.
Huh.
And on Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
we had a core group of children,
Yeah.
which is an idea I picked up
Yeah.
from America.
Hmm.
You know, in America, there was this thing called Zoom
Hmm.
in WGBH,
Hmm.
where they had a core group of characters
Yeah.
with whom they played, and we had a core group of children
Yeah.
which were part of Magic Lamp,
Yeah.
you know, and they could go outside Magic Lamp, but
Yeah.
they were Magic Lampers.
Yeah.
The others were viewers,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Like an audience. for
like an
that.
audience, but we never took school programs, other programs, and brought children there to perform.
Yeah.
That was an absolute no-no.
I mean that is what was happening? I mean
That
it
was
was-
what was happening.
Children's
That you would
audio?
bring a school concert, you would bring school children, and you get them to perform. And you know, we did have performances. When Sloppy rose from the sea,
Yeah.
he brought so many letters.
Yes.
And one of the letters belonged to Oman Kumar.
Hmm.
Oman Kumar is today one of the biggest art directors.
Yes.
And he said, I can do a snake dance. And he did a snake dance there. So it's not that we would not encourage talent,
Yeah.
but we would be very careful
Yeah.
in how many talents we would introduce because we already had characters in that show
Yes.
who created a world for the child,
Yeah.
for the contemporary child in Bombay,
Yeah.
which would have a contemporary school. Alagula Panchana was nothing like the schools we had. They would have a contemporary house. They would have everything was contemporary. The biggest thing that happened on Magic Land was Panna Club. Panna was a little frog. He was a Russian puppet who came to us. So Panna Club, Panna said, I'll start a club. I will be the president. So he was the smallest, he could be the president. I had to be. And every month he would give a project. It could be swim for the blind, have a fete. It could be oriented towards bringing up money with activities. It could be like do well in your exams. Exams are coming, who's coming first. It could be save a coin, teach them how to save money. It could be also related to athletics. Every year we had an athletic show. And each of the Panna clubs, there were so many Panna clubs, each had a name, each had a flag, each had a logo, each had their own participants. And we would take them out into a real athletic field, as into real swimming pools and CCI and all that. And Vijay Thakur, you know, he used to be a real fan of Magic Land. He would be there to judge, and Panna would be sitting there. And the whole athletic meet would be run like a professional athletic meet. We had students coming from college to run this and devise this. What games, what kind of things, what kind of rules, everything. And the best club would get the prize. Always the best club carried the prize. There would be 1, 2, 3, that way. When we found that certain clubs were not appearing, you know, we had so many clubs, and if some of the clubs were not appearing for say 3 months or 4 months, we would immediately tell the parents of that area that there was no adult interference in these clubs at all. It was total election, captain, vice captain, everyone. So they would go and try and find out what had happened and get their letters, and there was always some problem which had made them stop, you know, participating. So we would try to revive them. In one case, I'll never forget, the captain had died, and before his death, he wrote a letter to the vice captain and said, we have been one of the best performing clubs. Please take over as captain and lead our Panna club to heights. I could never forget the letter. There are many such letters, beautiful letters that Panna clubs had. And they were, we never had anybody tagging along with them. They would sell cards, they would go knocking at doors. They had a fete in which they called Mahmood, you know, as a chief guest. And each of the clubs had their thing, and each club had their own stall, and the money they raised they gave to the crippled children.
It's very interesting that these were...
It was always plant a tree. That was also a project.
So there was a lot of issue-based projects.
Lot of awareness of what is society, the needs of society, and that a team can help in the society. Team spirit was very important. Very important, and had to be built. And it was built through the Panna clubs. Panna would appear in the main thing, but otherwise he would be behind the screen, and they would come to Panna and receive the award if it was athletic outside, or if it was something like save a coin inside. So the whole idea was to break the glass boundary of television. And the best part of it, we got the most amazing people to come to our studios, like the Admiral. They would come and be part of Magic Land, you know. It was and at that time there was no commercial TV. So we used to have hoardings. We could print out shirts. We could do a lot of merchandising and nobody bothered. And the advertising companies were willing to help us. In fact, they would say, please hand over Magic Land to us. And I said, I can't, because the Director General won't allow. Julian Scott, who was the head of Britannia, said, I would like to print a book on Magic Land and bring out a record. And
it wasn't...
the DG didn't allow it. And so everything of Magic Land is gone today. Like a lot of very archival footage.
Yeah.
So Magic Lamp was very different from any of the children's programs that I have seen in India at my time and even today, in creating a world for the child, where every desire, every need of the child is met.
Yes, and I can see that you can't do that just with one show. It has to spread.
It has to spread.
Because Doordarshan was like in its inception, like, you know, wasn't it a very, challenging thing to come up with such a show at that point of time?
See, the thing you asked me that what challenges did you face in the early years of Doordarshan? I faced no challenges because I just take on challenges. So to me, a challenge is not a challenge. I had a budget of 3,000 rupees. I had 2 assistants. I had one desk that I used to share in a room with Naina, Mariam and Suhasini. And everything used to happen in that room. Okay? So I had nothing. But I had a lot of imagination. And I had 2 of my assistants, Rashmi and Rekha, who would go out into the field and to whom I would give only one thing. You're going out there, don't come back with a no. You have to come back with a yes for everything. And we faced challenges in making the puppets, in designing the voices for the puppets, in training for the puppets. They were never as sophisticated as the Sesame Street puppets. Never. There's no question of it. Because later on I heard Sesame Street has 3 different kinds of puppets. One is at a lower level, one is at a higher level. All these we didn't have. So in that money, we used to create everything.
The best of
it.
I heard you had the creators of Sesame Street come over and...
Not the creator, Norton Wright, who was the creative director, and Ed Palmer, who was the research thing. We had a seminar kind of thing at FTII, where I took Magic Lamp, and when they had come to train us and to see what kind of shows India does, when they saw Magic Lamp, they said, you know, we never took it here. How did it come here? How did you do it? And we showed them the kind of animation we do. They were so impressed. A little flower crying. So we had a flower and we had teardrops cut into the cardboard. So all we did was we pushed a white paper and the little flower cried. See, we used very interesting ways of doing animation. So and children's art, of course, was always there.
So why do you think Doordarshan did not have this sort of vision to, when Julian Scott came, for instance, why was his proposal rejected?
Because even when I started DTH, in the 90s, why was it not started by Rupert Murdoch? Why was Rupert Murdoch held on for 4 years before he was never given the license to start the DTH thing? We stood for 4 years. So in the same way, he was the Director General of Television. He knew what content he had, and he did not want to give the content to any commercial house. He said, the DAVP will bring out the book and the record. And I said, sir, I don't want that, because I know the level of DAVP. I know what kind of paper they use. I know what kind of artwork they will use. I do not want it brought up like that. Amar Chitra Katha also wanted to bring out a record, and in effect we went on to record it. But I don't know what happened. That was around the time I left. What happened to those recordings? Because they could have been wonderful original children's programs.
Why do we not have shows with children in it, like live action shows, as much as say animation? See, we find a lot more.
In my opinion, there is no reason for animation to take over. It has taken over because the people who are in the channels are afraid to take risks. They have seen in animation a couple of things. One, it has shelf life, as they say. Second, it works with children. In animation you can do a lot of things. You can become fat, you can become thin, you can go different places. All those things you can do. In live action, it would cost money to do that.
We'll have to be able to do that.
So basically, they are into animation because animation has worked.
Yeah.
So more animation, more animation, more animation, more animation, more animation.
Hmm.
Only I would say basic lack of determination and visualize and understanding of what children could like.
Yeah.
There is no reason why live action will fail. Absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
Born Vita quiz.
Yeah. So you do believe that children's programming today can look at its past and
Absolutely.
seek inspiration, right?
Seek inspiration. You have to be determined.
Yeah.
And you have to be supported. Now Doordarshan support was it didn't interfere with it. That was its greatest support.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when the programs were very popular, they were appreciated. This, in a commercial channel today, if it doesn't get TRPs, they're going to give up. But it's not going to get TRPs immediately. It will take time.
Yeah. So do you think, in a way, Doordarshan is the channel? Because since it's coming up with DD Kids in future, do you think there is
I
avenue?
think only Doordarshan
Can do it.
because it's got the infrastructure.
Infrastructure. Yeah.
But
And
will they do it? I don't know.
last.
Where will they get the manpower to stay with them?
True.
I was working with them for 7 years.
But why do people leave it then? I mean, if you're saying that it has the infrastructure, it has.
People live on to with the Doordarshan to become director generals, get a pension, get a gratuity. Their aim is different. Their aim is not to be creative. Their aim is to be administrative heads.
Okay.
There's a completely different, and all IAS people and all have come. They have a completely different mindset. They are not creative people. We were young. We had just come back. There were 7 or 8 of us. We were a very young lot which had come and been taken up by 72. And we did a lot of things. It wasn't just me. There were other producers also who did a lot of things. And we were lucky and we gave our heart and soul to it. But even we could not carry on because of the burnout.
Yeah. Considering there are 400 plus million children.
Yeah, and who would do Doordarshan?
Yeah.
Who has the money?
Yeah.
It's with Doordarshan.
Yeah.
Who has the equipment? Doordarshan. But who hasn't got the mindset? Doordarshan.